Hello and welcome to episode 3 of The Investigation. This match, pretty hyped. They're starting to make it pretty deep into the tournament. This is game 1 of the series. Taking a quick look at draft. Some things I liked, some things I didn't like. What I like is Bows on Cho'Gath. Enemy picked his Scion away. Cho'Gath is pretty good into Scion. Cho'Gath has a lot of true damage and a lot of max health damage. Scion has a lot of health. So I like that pick. I also think with enemy team having Victor and Varus, Cho'Gath punishes immobile carries really well. Easier to hit Qs, and if you play the movement speed kind of Deadman's Plate type of build on Cho'Gath, reaching champs like Varus and Victor is much easier than more mobile carries. So I like that part. I also like the part where you're playing Tristana and Maokai, even though I do think Velia is much better on the carry junglers. In Fearless, at some point you have to play the Maokai. Putting him on Maokai game 1, not the biggest fan of that, but so be it. My biggest worry this game is the support pick. At first glance you might think, oh, but you have Lulu with Sivir and Tristana. That's 2 hyper carries, that should be good, right? Yes, I do think Lulu is very good with that. I also think Lulu with a tank jungle is quite good as well. Much better with like a Xin Zhao, but enchanters and tanks, they do like go hand in hand. My worry with Lulu is, in my head at least, early levels should be a bit hard versus Varus not. They actually ended up winning lane. Maybe they're just the goats. Maybe I have wrong read on the matchup. But in my mind, something like Leona, if you want to play for lane, would make more sense. If you want to play for the map and scale more, I felt like Bard would be good as well. Lulu though, like I said, with double ADCs, it does make sense. But Lulu versus Varus and Victor is a little bit bad in my mind too. You're a bit outranged. That worries me a little bit. Hard to take space, like Maokai is the only guy that can really do it. Cho'Gath won't be grouped the whole game as he's your top laner. So I felt like if you want to go the route of losing lane, at least in my mind, it's a losing lane, this matchup. I felt like Bard could lose lane, but be very useful with his R versus double immobiles as well. Or like I said, I felt like Leona would be stronger in this game, again versus double immobile with her ult and good matchup versus Nautilus. Nonetheless, I get why they pick Lulu, and if they do want an enchanter, I think Lulu is the best one here, just because of how well it works with Sivir and Trist. But yeah, that's my worry in draft. I thought bot lane, again, I thought they would lose this lane, but they ended up winning, and they hard pushed this cannon wave and getting a BF sword first base on Sivir. This is the start of greatness of this game. What I didn't like after that though is, when you play Maokai and tank junglers in general, you do dragon really slowly, right? Maokai started Raptors and did Raptors into Krugs this game and just basically played to power farm. But for some reason Velia started breaking this pattern here. He does Wolves and then does Dragon. I don't like to do this. In my opinion, you should only do one of these two things. You either skip Wolves and just hit Drake immediately, or you do Wolves and Grump and then you hit Drake. The benefit of doing Wolf and Grump is 2 things. You sync your camps, making future clears better, and you're gonna gain tempo overall by doing this. Or the second thing that you benefit from doing this is that when your bot lane crashes, they can help leash the full duration, which again makes you clear much faster and be on more places. The only benefit I saw from him doing this and skipping his Grump is that it is true that Drake spawns before Grubs, which means you could potentially contest it with Cho'Gath having push, and I could see that argument, but then the Bows has to not die here, man. Like, what is this? Like he's looking to proxy or something. It's not a proxy timer, bro. Right, so bit torn with this point, because I could see it. If Maokai now crosses through mid, I could see skipping Grump being worth if Cho'Gath just simply doesn't die here and just stays alive, because if Cho'Gath stays alive and Maokai crosses, I could see this work out. I could also see this be a bit disastrous, because if we consider Veigar not getting chunked, you have Symbiotic Souls versus Chapter. I do feel like Victor is going to gap Trist in this fight. Personally, a better and more consistent play for Maokai would be clear this and this, hit this with his bot lane pushing, not half-healthing it as Maokai, and then just play for level 6. Because I think if you get level 6 as Maokai this game, and you just farm and they get the first 3 grubs, you get the Drakes, with your scaling comp, you should be happy always to trade Drake for first grubs. And if you get 6 quickly as Maokai by actually farming, removing your top camp respawn, he can then play to just ulti these guys under their tower, chunk them with Sivir, and Sivir's gonna get plates and a free lane from this. Because Sivir having BF Sword, you're going to see now, they're going to end up pushing and slowly poking, right? So I want you to imagine now, if Maokai, instead of doing all of this here, instead of doing all of this, right, and losing his flash, if he just farmed this into this, did Dragon, farmed this into this, recalls, get 6, If he plays for bot and his bot lane keeps bullying, Varus is going to get dove, by the way. So yeah, that's the main thing I didn't like in early game. Enemy team initiates a swap. They have Sion. Pretty obvious that they're going to swap, to be honest. Alternatively, what LR could do if they want to be fancy and predict a swap, they could have Cho'Gath with Moby Boots here, just recall on this even wave. If Sion shows and pushes this wave, then bot lane can just go back to bot lane. But if Cho'Gath bases here and Sion doesn't show on this wave randomly, bot lane can just go to top here from base and assume the swap is going to happen. If they're not going to do that though, they should never do what they did here. If they're not going to swap in the first place, they should just slowly bully the Sion out, not use Sivir Q like this. Just slowly hit the turret and bully him, polymorph him with Lulu, slowly chunk him for like 2 minutes straight, and Maokai will clear down to you, and you can play. But instead Lulu hovers mid, which is kind of irrelevant. Cho'Gath is like chilling. Maokai clears, but now he comes to a bot side that Sion is full health, and Sivir is like hesitating whether she should base or not. I think if you arrive to bot lane versus the Sion, it's really troll to look to base. If you wanted to not be against the Sion, you would have to assume they're going to do the swap now. Especially when you're winning as bot lane like this, you can assume even more so in pro play that people with Sion, when they're losing bot lane, they're going to swap. So if Cho'Gath was to base here, if Sion didn't show on this wave, it would be a bit obvious, I feel like, that the enemy would swap. Their map opening here did not make much sense. So here, Tristana is going to base and TP back. I don't know why he's coming from space. I'm going to play this again. Tristana bases here. Bot lane bases here. Do you think Tristana should go mid with TP or bot with TP? In my opinion, Triss should TP to bot lane. The reason for this is Sivir has full item in base, and I think Sivir on mid can easily one-shot the wave, and with Lulu's shield, Viktor can't really do much to the Sivir, and if Tristana TP'd here to bot lane, you would have side lane push, and Sivir would arrive to mid, having push on the next wave, as Viktor still needs to base. So, in my opinion, it didn't make sense that Triss would TP to mid lane, because now, yeah, he gets tempo on this wave, which is kind of irrelevant, and Sivir is not on bot lane yet. But Sivir could now start to arrive to mid, look to one-shot this wave with Lulu. Triss could already be pushing bot this entire time. If we take a look at Sion's tempo, compare it to Tristana, Sion is now looking to recall. Tristana is already in base with TP. So if Triss now TPs on this ward, Sion has to TP bot, otherwise Triss gets played. So yeah, I thought that was a bit strange from them. Now it's a bit problematic because of what I said before. Since Tristana went mid, Viktor is now pushing here. Bot lane now finally moves, but now this is happening. An enemy could look to trap and chunk Tristana here if they were a bit better. Veigar is though, however, too bad, and is standing here showing himself for no reason. Easy for Tristana to come. He could look to W here, for example. He could look to trap Cho'Gath on rotation. Many things Veigar could have done instead. When you do this dragon, and LR does this quite a lot, they overplay a lot of situations. What I mean by that is, they will get what they came for, and they'll try to get even more. But the thing is, when you're doing this, and Cho'Gath is roaming down, and when you're hitting dragon, and these waves start to meet, if Sion pushes this, and Varus pushes this, and you look to fight on mid, you better ace these guys, otherwise it's not worth it. Viktor has flash up. It is not worth it here to go here. Let's say Cho'Gath flashes on Viktor, and Viktor flashes. You are gonna lose 1 or 2 plates on top, and top wave. You're gonna lose 1 plate on bot guaranteed versus Demolish Sion and free grubs, and you're gonna lose bot wave, just to trade Cho'Gath flash versus Viktor flash. Now, the Baus runs it down here, but let's imagine he doesn't run it down. Best case, you're trading somebody's flash for Viktor's flash, no? And then you're bleeding on both sides. So instead, to me, it makes more sense, get the dragon, and just return to your lanes. Your Cho'Gath, full armor Cho'Gath, is fine versus the Varus. So, Baus, in my opinion, should not commit to mid in this case, because we're doing Drake. Just keep pushing top lane, keep your lane, match your lanes, and just play the game. This is too much of a reach, in my opinion, and like I said, even if you played a bit better and you get Viktor's flash and nobody dies, you're gonna lose so much on sides here. So, LR's tempo is really bad now. They lose a lot on side. Imagine even if Cho'Gath was to live or something, you're still losing so much here. So, really, really, really disliked that play. After that, moving on to grubs. If Maokai is going to do grubs here, and Sivir and Lulu really needs to base because their condition is bad, they have good gold, Lulu can get wards back, it's always a 1 grub and peace out. Take a look at Velia. Velia has 1 smite, which means 1 grub. Just Q this, take 1 grub and peace out. You have Leandrian base, remove the camps that you're next to, take 1 grub and peace out. They end up all shadowing him and coming, and they delay their tempo so much. If enemy team wasn't complete NPC, look at this freeze frame. Why can't enemy team now just slowly run these guys down? Sivir, no ult, no flash. Maokai, no ult, no flash. No ult Ulu. Why can't Varus and Not just run at these guys and slowly chase them and force them to recall all the way back here? They're just too scared. Look at this. It's like actually pathetic to watch, like enemy team here. And I don't want to be rude, but there's nothing else to say but pathetic. Because Varus has flash up, right? And Lulu has no ulti. If Nautilus hooks Sivir here, and Sivir spell shields it, why can't Varus just ulti? And then Crowny is dead. And even if we want to say that they don't die here, if they live with 10 health, their tempo is so bad. So like I said, this is a Velia play. If he wants to take 1 grub, it's fine. But you just did a play and you're overplaying it. You always push and recall here as laners. And if your jungler wants to do grubs, then let him int. If he wants to take 1 and peace out, that's up to him. But we can't actually commit to grubs here. Bot lane has to base. And that's why I say LR, they overplay way too much. Way too much. After that, I don't like what Velia does here. Because when you play Tristana into a mage on side lane, the advantage Trist has is that she's very hard to gank, and the mage is very easy to gank. So the end result, if Tristana is top, and she's matching Victor, the end result should almost always be that Maokai ends up topside. Otherwise, the Victor can kinda just ego on Trist and poke her out, and it's hard to play. And Victor is very vulnerable and has no flash. So that should be the win con. Maokai goes bot camps, makes sense, but after that, he should want to end up topside. But for some reason, the play is to play bot side. Cho'Gath already got the bot wave. If they want to kill him here, so be it. You can't defend his tower anyways if they want to go for it after killing him. So I don't understand what all of this is. I feel like the vision should be given to Trist and we should be looking for Victor. It's really weird, I think. Even from bot lane. Bot lane getting this wave should immediately run and fog to topside here. They don't even need Maokai. Imagine how Sivir is running here. This Victor is for sure dead to Sivir and Lulu. Then it just becomes Tristana gets this gold. They get this gold. Who gets this gold? Sion and Viego. Who gets this gold? A Tristana. Of course that's winning for LR. But again, the plan was never this. That's the problem. If Tristana goes top, from base, Maokai's plan has to be my end goal is to end up topside. Same for these guys. So if Cho'Gath dies on bot, then so be it. Make sure the guy on top can't touch the wave. This wave here should never be allowed for Victor to touch. If his team chooses to gank the Cho'Gath, then Victor should lose the same amount. If Cho'Gath was to die on this wave, there's nothing you can do as LR. But Cho'Gath doesn't die here, he dies on this wave timer. So yeah, this was a big mistake from LR, I thought. Nemi goes top, has TP up, and we end up playing through bot for the Drake. If we want to do that, I think when Nemi gets this wave, he should just TP ASAP Rocky, okay? The moment he gets these creeps, just TP away. Take a look at Drake's spawn. Drake is up in 15 seconds. If you are enemy team, if you don't contest this Drake, your play would be this or Herald, yes? By the time Sion, who would be the one responding to Trist, by the time Sion goes for this wave and takes this wave, and by the time he reaches this, the Drake is already gone. So Nemi getting this wave is game winning. But the problem is, after that wave, there's nothing else to be done on top, in my opinion. So all of this is kinda useless and waste of his time. I felt like, if I was playing Trist, I would just take this. Now, I would just go Fog, TP on one of these wards, like this pink. My team just gets midwave, and I can just start hitting Dragon. And then Sion has to either TP, and then, well, then we have a team fight, right? And if we don't want to team fight, then why are we here then, right? That's my other argument, because if you don't want a team fight, then we shouldn't even be here with everyone. So I assume you want a team fight. Then Tristana would be here, and now Tristana would be hitting this Drake. Then all of these plays would be way easier for LR as well. And if enemy team isn't doing this, well then you would just get the Drake. Because as you see, Drake has been up for a long time, Sion has finally killed the wave, but Sion still has to get rid of this wave and then begin hitting the tower. That's why I'm saying that wave was really important by Nemi to clear, but I didn't see why he wanted to sit and lane here now, as Sion still needs to clear this wave. So I thought there was plenty of time for them to get the Drake and then defend top. This was something I really liked from LR. the revive Atakhan is happening. Enemy team is doing it. And they decided to just give it. And I think it's really good. I think when you give revive Atakhan at this timer of the game, it's not much plays enemy team can really do. Their best play is like Sion ulting and doing like some kind of dive. But even if you do that with the respawn of the thing being so long now, like 15 seconds to respawn when you die with it, it's not easy to like kill someone and TP back and stuff like this. So I felt like just pushing mid, making this a long lane by getting rid of the tower, getting gold for Sivir, and I think at this point getting LDR on these two champs is like a win condition in itself to kill Sion, right? So just giving it, I thought it was good. Only thing I would like is Valor to be more decisive. I felt like there should be saplings everywhere here, and Lulu wards everywhere, to try to make it easier to defend versus their eventual Atakhan dive. But good play nonetheless. Getting 2 tier 1 turrets, completely fine. This Atakhan is not gonna really do much. Even if they have it for this Drake, it doesn't really help them in the fight, let's be real. And if you don't want to fight this, you can easily give it. You have 3 Drakes already with a scaling comp. It makes sense. What does not make sense, however, is that if we go back, Veigar got the Herald at like 1830. Remember, Eye of the Herald, the thing you pick up, that lasts 4 minutes. Which means it should be very obvious here for LR what enemy's team's play is. Herald is going to run out in about 50 seconds here. It should be a priority to defend enemy's Herald play, especially when they're targeting your last standing tier 1 turret. So how do you do it? Tristana go push on this wave. He agrees to try to pick up the tower, hoping Sion doesn't reach in time, but I think a much better play from Neme would be to just hover down on this mid wave, because if enemy doesn't Herald on this cannon wave here, their Herald will expire and they just can't really do anything with it. So I think him hovering here, and if you have to use Maokai ulti just to like fight on this wave, you don't have to fight to kill them. You just have to fight so that Sivir can like ricochet and clear the wave. Then this won't die. They need to crash it and also hit the tower. But they just grouped up. Neme is still top. And Maokai is not ulting, which it makes sense to not ult now because you're not actually going to fight without Trist. And they just kind of give it. Which at that point, why are we all here again, right? If we're not going to bother moving with Trist and we're not going to like look to Maokai ult it or something, then at that point, shouldn't Tristana and everyone just come top and just Sivir just give her tier 1 mid? And we can at least hit this with Lulu shield and stuff. Because now it's kind of awkward. This Sion can unironically solo kill this Tristana. Like, not even kidding. So, it's just a bit indecisive. Not sure they're even, like, timing the Herald, like, being aware of when it'll run out. So yeah, they end up losing this. You know what's gonna happen here. On me, guys. My bad. After though, there is some hope. The game is not looking the best right now. They've lost some control, but there's some hope. Nautilus lost a bit of focus and got caught. What I really dislike is when teams and players get one pick and they're like, hey, can we go Nash? Can we Nash? Can we Nash? Can we Nash? Can we go Nash? Can we go Baron? Baron, 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 Baron? It's really rushed. Realistically, this Nautilus has 50 seconds until he can be here, right? 50 to 55 seconds depending on his champ. So like, you have a lot of time to still get a fight where you are 5v4. So when next midwave is already here, I don't see why they wouldn't just take this. I don't see why they wouldn't take their time to properly sweep and look for wards. You see, Neme has sweeper, he's not using it. There's still this ward, this makes it much easier for enemy team to play. Viego is standing here. We're not jumping on him with Trist to try to chunk him while Viego's team is like showing on midwave. There's many things, and I feel like the call to rush Baron often makes people forget what they need to do to actually get the Baron. So just take it a bit slower. Take the steps, like get the midwave deep. Get the midwave. Clear the vision, like actually check for wards. We have sweeper, guys. Come on. Go push this guy out. Whoever can should just go on this guy. Like in this case, maybe Triss should just jump and run at him with Lulu speed. Maybe. Lulu is using her W and E on people hitting Baron, for example. And now, since we're all rushing this, Sion gets like insane engage, and Victor has a massive choke here to just one-shot everyone. So this didn't really make sense. I felt like we can just have a much cleaner sequence. And if we feel like we don't have good turn, which in my opinion is like mega cope, I think Maokai has one of the best Baron turns in the game. if you feel like you don't have a good turn and you can't do Nash, it's completely fine to kill this guy and just get tempo or control. For example, a different play that could be is get this mid-wave, send one guy here, get vision line here, recall for new wards, you can do all of this and still be on the map before Nautilus, and then you have full control for the soul that's spawning in 48 seconds. That's an easier play to make than to do the Baron as well. But if you do want to do Baron, you have to actually sweep properly and set it up. And with that, you know, they still got the Nash with the Cho'Gath, and it's still a fine outcome. But it was a little bit Munkaes, you know, it was a bit too close for comfort. After that, kind of everything just goes well for them. They get the soul, enemy team doesn't really contest it. They actually use their Baron much better than the other games that we have looked at. They actually got quite a lot from it, and they grouped and they just ARAM'd with their unskilled comp, you know, like Lulu's just shielding them at this point. Like I said, at this point I think the Lulu pick is great. But I'm not sure it's realistic. And then the game simply just ends. Je t'ai rencontré